Let me tell you something. You never truly understand the darkness a person carries until they decide to use because a week after I moved into my new home, my water pressure dropped, a stranger's pump started running, and I discovered my neighbor had been stealing from me. He thought I wouldn't find out. He was wrong. And by the time I was done, he had no tenants, no income, no electricity, no water, and nowhere left to live. If you've ever had a toxic neighbor or someone who thought they could walk all over you just because they're older, louder, or entitled, subscribe if you love justice delivered cold. Now, let's begin. I live in Asia, and recently I bought a new house. The previous owners were close family friends. They hadn't lived in the country for 3 years after leaving mid-renovation. They needed cash, I needed a home. But the moment I stepped foot inside, the front door wasn't even a real door, just a padlock hanging off a half-installed frame. Nothing stopping anyone from walking in. And trust me, they did. On the first day, there was a motorcycle parked inside. Not mine. Someone was using my house. I dragged the bike onto the road, quietly fuming. That night, an angry man hammered on my gate for 15 minutes straight, fists kicking. I didn't answer. I just watched from the window as he eventually gave up and took the bike. His eyes told me everything. This neighborhood wasn't a peaceful one. Or maybe it wasn't ready for someone who would fight back. My next-door neighbor was an old man living on the bottom floor of a 3-story building. He rented out the upper floors to tenants. When the house was sold, he wasn't happy. Family friends had warned me he was furious about the sale. He thinks he has a right to this place, they said. He's been using your yard and taps like they belong to him. But I wasn't worried. I'm 6 feet tall and I have 3 dogs. Let's just say no one tries anything funny around me unless they're stupid. The old man didn't look stupid, but entitlement has a way of rotting the brain. A week later, I was in the shower, hot water cascading down my back, until it suddenly wasn't. The water pressure dropped. At first, I thought it was the city supply, normal enough. Then, I heard it, through the wall, a low mechanical hum. My neighbor's water pump, running at the exact same moment my pressure dropped. A coincidence? Maybe, but my gut clenched. That cold, sinking feeling of a conspiracy forming in plain sight. I waited until his pump shut off. Then I turned on my taps again. Perfect pressure. My jaw clenched so hard I felt my teeth grind. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was truth. I checked every pipe I could access, every outlet, every line. And even though I couldn't find the exact connection point, the pattern was undeniable. Whenever his pump ran, my water vanished. Suddenly, everything clicked. For 3 years, my friends had been receiving unusually high water bills, despite the house being empty. They thought it was leaks. They never imagined the neighbor was literally siphoning their water. But now I saw it clearly, like a knife glinting under a streetlight. This old man didn't just feel entitled, he felt ownership, as if anything abandoned automatically belonged to him. He had gotten away with it for years, but not anymore. Not with me. I sat with the truth for days. Confront him? Useless. He'd deny it, maybe even threaten legal trouble. Go to the authorities? It would take time, proof, investigations. Do nothing? My blood boiled just imagining it. It wasn't the money. Water's cheap where I live, $5 a month at most. No, it was the principle, the arrogance, the way he had stolen from the previous owners, my friends, and now was stealing from me. Some people need a lesson carved so deeply into their reality that they never ever forget it. So I decided to give him one. My revenge was simple, silent, perfectly legal, and devastating. All I had to do was turn off my main water supply. Nothing illegal, no breaking in, no touching his property, just cut off the source he was stealing from. I waited until Monday. He always pumped water at night when demand was low. At exactly 10:48 p.m., I heard it, his pump flicking on, sucking water it didn't own. I stepped outside, twisted the valve, and turned my entire water supply off. A tiny click of metal, a sound so small, but the consequences? Titanic. Here's something everyone in my country knows. If the tank isn't filling, the pump keeps running forever. The ball valve stays open. The pump receives the signal, more water, keep going. Except there is no water. A pump running dry? It overheats, it strains, it pulls more electricity, more and more and more. And if your house wiring is old, it becomes a ticking time bomb. 3 a.m. I was lying in bed when I heard it. Voices, panicked whispers, doors opening, feet rushing up and down stairs. Then, "Why do we have no power?" a tenant shouted. Another yelled, "The water's gone too." I peeked through my window. Flashlights, confusion, chaos. The old man was stumbling outside in pajamas, looking up at his own dark, powerless house like it had betrayed him. The pump had run non-stop for hours. It had pulled so much power that his ancient 90s wiring couldn't handle it. The fuse box melted internally. The electrical system fried. The pump burned out. And because the pump died, no water could be delivered to any floor. No water, no electricity. In my country, that's illegal for tenants. Very illegal. By sunrise, both tenants had filed police reports. And here's the thing. Landlords are legally required to provide functioning water and power. No excuses. Not even age or weather. The police didn't need a court order. They fined him on the spot. $500. A huge sum where I live. Then the tenants demanded full security deposit refunds, immediate repairs, compensation for losses, and the right to move out early. He lost both tenants within 48 hours. His only source of income? Gone. He couldn't afford repairs. He couldn't afford the fine. He couldn't afford to stay. By the end of the week, I watched him carrying bags, loading them into his daughter's car, leaving the home he had lived in for decades. All because he thought he could steal water and no one would ever catch him. The next day, he walked up to my gate, knocked softly. His face was carefully neutral, but his eyes, those eyes were screaming. "Did you turn off your water yesterday?" he asked. I shrugged casually. "Oh yeah," I said. "There was a leak in my tank. Had to turn it off until the plumber fixed it." A tiny lie, a perfect one. His jaw twitched. For a split second I saw it, the recognition, the dread, the knowledge that I knew exactly what he'd done. He swallowed hard, said only, "Okay," and walked away. He never asked again, because he knew, and he knew that I knew. Next week, I'm having my plumber come by. We're removing every outgoing line that could be siphoned or stolen or abused. My water will be mine again, forever. One turn of a valve, one silent move, and the man who stole from me for years lost his tenants, his income, his home, his peace, and his pride, all without me lifting a finger against him. Sometimes karma isn't loud. Sometimes justice isn't messy. Sometimes revenge is just a quiet twist of the wrist. I didn't destroy his life. I simply stopped letting him feed off mine. People like him only learn the hard way when the consequences finally come knocking. And in this case, karma didn't knock. It kicked the door down. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me the worst thing a neighbor has ever done to you, because oh boy, the stories you share. And of course, subscribe for more dark, deeply satisfying revenge stories every single week. Until next time, stay sharp, stay aware, and never let anyone steal from you.